you recommend this book, Rock Retirement, to clients. You recommend it to me. I love the concepts in there. And I think it's got a lot of really key important points. Could you describe why you like this book so much, and what is really a retirement masterpiece versus a retirement plan? And I also want to tell everybody that Sue has what I would consider a masterpiece of a retirement in every dimension. So you may not feel that way. I hope you do. But looking at it from the outside, I think you have an amazing retirement masterpiece. So can you describe for everybody what that is, why you love this book, and how you integrate it with clients?
Absolutely. So it's interesting. You see it on almost any website you go to. You hear about it on TV. You certainly read about it in every ad of every magazine. Everybody's talking about a retirement plan, right? They're all saying, hey, do you have enough money? Have you done this little calculator? Every 401k that someone has, when you go in, it says track your progress toward retirement. All of those things are very much paint by the number. And when I heard of this book, Rock Retirement by Roger Whitney, what I found was this is a guy that is a certified financial planner. This book has virtually nothing about the financial side of retirement. He talks in big, broad strokes about it, but he doesn't talk about how to convert 401k money to a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. He doesn't go through those things. What he talks about is making retirement a masterpiece for yourself. This book really is, as he says, is all about you. It's understanding where you are in your life, where you want to be next week, next month, next year, next decade, and turning that what always feels like a paint-by-the-number financial plan into an actual retirement roadmap, right? What are your passions? How do you not just have enough money to not work? How is it that you have planned your life to do the things that you want to do, and now you have enough money to support it? It's like looking at the Mona Lisa versus something I did in, fifth grade, again, paint by the number, right? Are they both art? Well, I don't know. They both had paint and you put them on a wall, but one of them really had the passion, the motivation to reach that level of expertise, right? It is in itself a masterpiece. So it's knowing what your passions are. It's knowing when you want to glide from one part of your life into the next part of your life, that you can look at your life and realize that, everybody talks work-life balance. There's really not work and not life. It's all one thing. It's making that one thing flow from one stage to the next stage to the next stage, and actually having an impact on that and embracing all of the aspects of your life and how you can get from one to the next with an absolute purpose. So that's how I see really the difference between a retirement masterpiece and a retirement plan. David mentioned that he thinks I've got a great one, and I've spent my life in construction, and my life now really is getting to help other contractors become that scalable organization, to help them to become a sustainable organization, to help them work through the people, the process, and the technology of their organization, to help them find their retirement masterpiece and to leave their company in a way they want to leave it to the stockholders, to their family, however they want to leave it to the next generation. So that's my story.
And you're sticking to it, right?
I'm sticking to it. That's right.
So this is one where, and we see this a lot where when contractors start to talk about succession, and the owners are talking about succession, they fall down very quickly. I mean that in a bad way, but they fall down very quickly into the details of how to accomplish a financial transaction. How to value the business, what the capital and the financing terms look like, what buy-sell agreements look like, and and they fall down into those details, really, really quickly. And that's never actually what we find hangs up the succession from going on. It's always the lack of having, what's coming up next. So the owners that have a very clear plan of what they want to do next, their retirement masterpiece, as it's framed fantastically in this book, we can figure out then the transaction details of how to go get that done. And there's lots of people that can go do that, but really figuring out that retirement masterpiece is oftentimes the biggest hang up. Though it's the piece that people don't always want to focus on, it's a little bit like choosing not to focus on things like your strategy as a company and falling back and focusing on your monthly financial transaction details. So do you see that as well, Sue, when you're working with people?
Yeah, absolutely. It's what they've been doing for so long, right? They've been living in the guts and feathers of the business. They've been living in the financial decisions. They've been focusing on, again, what makes the company financially viable. And yet you can see in most companies, even a financially viable company, if the culture is not there, if the culture is toxic, that is definitely more damaging to a company immediately than a lot of times getting your arms around some of the financial decisions. And that's what's happening with retirement and the retirement masterpiece. If you have not spent the time outside of the literal financial planning of your retirement, you have to look at the culture of your life. Where do you want that life to go? And have you made that decision? It is incredibly hard to look out the window one morning and go, what am I going to do today? If you're no longer spending those 90 hours a week wrapped up in your own business. So there's a path you can take. It's all individual, but there's a path you can take, and it has to be twofold, right? If you have a great retirement masterpiece, it means you are set and ready to go to the future, and your company is right there with you. You're moving, hand in hand forward so that one isn't feeling left behind. The company isn't feeling abandoned. The owner who's leaving isn't feeling, kicked out. So the two really do go hand in hand to make this a very easy transition, although could be time consuming, right? It may take time for it to happen, but there's nothing that says it can't happen. It's hard. It's hard. And sometimes you need that objective third-party person there to help talk you through it so that you can move forward with the decisions that you've made and just continue, getting to the rest of the life that you want to have.
So this is actually kind of, if you put this into construction terms and the architectural phases, this is really the programming and the schematic design phases and a little bit of the design development phases, what you're talking about here of creating this retirement masterpiece. And it's a little bit like having pre-construction services to be able to guide the architect along and say, is that really realistic? So I mean, no big deal if you shoot for the moon, but if I said I want to retire and buy an island, the big island of Hawaii, that's probably not a realistic retirement plan. So somebody that can help guide you along. So in the next few questions, we're going to break this apart, kind of this retirement masterpiece concept. We're going to break it apart into half individual-based questions, which are really applicable to anybody retiring, and half into business-related questions, which are applicable especially to construction business owners or senior executives retiring.